Readers of the Wichita Eagle might be excused for not understanding the economic realities of a proposed tax giveaway to a local development. That's a problem, and I'll explain why. Well, this week's meeting of the Wichita City Council held an item of economic development that might be confusing to citizens unless they read the meeting's agenda packet. Here's what the Wichita Eagle reported to its readers. The owner of the former Wichita Mall is seeking $3.6 million in industrial revenue bonds for a new parking lot, a request that the Wichita City Council will consider at its Tuesday meeting. And at the Tuesday meeting, the City Council did approve it. Now, the Wichita Eagle article doesn't present much more about the economics of this transaction and its importance to public policy. That's unfortunate, as after reading this article, citizens could be excused for thinking that the city is making a loan to a private entity. That's what it sounds like the city is making a loan. But that is not the purpose of industrial revenue bonds, or IRBs as they're known here in Kansas. By issuing these bonds, the city of Wichita is not lending any money and is not guaranteeing or even hinting that any loan will be repaid. Instead, city documents, but not the Wichita Eagle reporting, city documents tell us that Coco Properties LLC will purchase these bonds. Well, who is Coco, you may be wondering? Well, it's the company that owns the Wichita Mall property, the same company that wants to borrow money to repair its parking lot. Now, by purchasing the IRBs, the company is, in effect, lending money to itself. Well, it's possible that Coco may seek other loans to get the funds to buy the IRBs, but if so, these would be private transactions and therefore not a matter of public policy. So, if Coco is buying these IRBs itself, what is the purpose of the transaction? Why is Coco taking $3.6 million from one of its corporate pockets and transferring it to another corporate pocket and incurring costs in the process? At this point, if all you've done is read the Wichita Eagle story, you may be confused. Actually, you'd be uninformed because the Eagle story says nothing about who will purchase these industrial revenue bonds. Further, the Eagle story tells us nothing about the reason for this transaction, which is to avoid paying two forms of taxes. Now, the City Council agenda packet, which is available on the city's website, explains that property tax forgiveness accompanies the industrial revenue bonds. Specifically, it tells us the one-year estimated tax abatement on Coco's proposed $3.6 million real property improvements when complete would be $108,000 per year. The value of a 100% real property tax exemption as applicable to taxing jurisdictions is City of Wichita, $29,000, Sedgwick County, $26,000, State of Kansas, $1,350, and the Wichita School District, $51,000. These are annual numbers, and they would be repeated for 5 years plus another 5 years if the City Council approves based on council review. So that's potentially over $1 million of forgiven property taxes. And that's not all. City documents say city staff will also apply for a sales tax exemption. Now, no value was given for how much sales tax Coco may avoid paying, so I asked and was told that the value is $126,000 in sales tax that this company will not pay. So there it is. The purpose of the industrial revenue bonds transaction is to avoid paying taxes, both property tax and sales tax. So that inspires a question. In its application, Coco says it has spent millions renovating the building in order to attract tenants, and that this was done without public incentive or financing. But now we're told that the parking lot can't be repaired without two forms of tax giveaways, that the parking lot can't be repaired without over $1 million of subsidy. Well, when the city finds it necessary to forgive taxes in order to make investment possible, it tells us that taxes in Wichita are too high. These high taxes are blocking investment. In some ways, I don't blame Coco for seeking relief from property taxes. In the past on Wichita Liberty TV, I've shown you how property taxes for commercial property in Wichita are very high compared to the rest of the nation. So it is understandable that landlords want lower property taxes. But when the city reduces taxes on a piecemeal basis like this, the cost of government is spread over a smaller base. For those people and businesses that are still part of that smaller base of taxpayers, well, their taxes go up. This includes other commercial landlords that are competitors to Coco, the company that is seeking relief from paying a substantial amount of taxes. Now, Coco has a competitive advantage over other commercial landlords. So we have a question. Are commercial property taxes in Wichita so high that this investment cannot proceed without this targeted tax relief? It's either that, or this is another example of cronyism at Wichita City Hall. That is, a simple taxpayer-funded gift to a city council crony. And one more thing. Boosters of the proposed Wichita sales tax, part of which is scheduled to be used for economic development, they tell us that Wichita has only $1.65 million per year to fund incentives. Well, the incentives being considered for Coco are worth over $1 million in total, but have no cash cost to the city. These incentives are not part of the $1.65 million annual budget for incentives, but the incentives do have a cost that is paid for by taxpayers when the city, county, state, and school district spend and expect taxpayers to make up this missing tax revenue. And just one more thing. Wichita Eagle, please get on the ball. Why didn't our newspaper report the most important economic purpose of the revenue bonds, which was the avoidance of taxes? Instead, the newspaper presented a story that makes it seem as though the city is lending money, which is definitely not the case. We're left wondering if reporters at our state's largest newspaper understand these matters.